Hey, it's the podcast guy.
Sutton United Talk Time on podcast. It's the Sutton Podcast.
And there it is! Sutton United of the GM Vauxhall Conference have put out First Division Coventry City, winners of the FA Cup themselves less than 2 years ago. And what a moment to enjoy for the fans of this Surrey side. They've had their moments before, but never one like this. But the whistle goes down. Delight for Sutton United. Sutton United from the National League are through to the last 16 of the FA Cup. No longer English football's perennial non-league club. A 123-year crescendo reaches a new peak for Sutton United, who are promoted to the Football League for the first time.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Sutton United Talk Time on podcast. Everyone's smiling because I've remembered to turn mute off so everyone can hear me. In association with Lucky Star Gym, this is the Sutton Podcast and I'm your host Mike. We are having a very joyous panel today. We're all in a good happy mood and we have got Rory, Paul and Alistair. We are going to be covering the away defeat at Accrington Stanley. I think it is important I make clear which defeat we're talking about because there's lots of them. And we will look forward to the break from the league with everyone's favourite league trophy against Aston Villa they're under 21s anyway. Don't forget engagement is important. Like, share, tweet, comment, all the regular stuff from across the platforms. And a big shout out to those that keep doing that and getting in front of people's eyes as well. Let's get on with it. This is going to be... one of those classes, we just got to rip it off, go for it. Paul, it was the end of July for you. We had just lost to all on the last friendly. How have you been?
I'm good, very good. Yeah, very pleasant day yesterday. Long journey, so it was a good day apart from a certain little part, which I'm sure we'll get onto. But
I was just going to say that Gandemonium's little tagline used to be it was a great day out sport by the football. So it's nothing's changed. Yeah. Rory, it was Bradford away. We lost 3-1 since you were last with us. Have you been?
I don't know if I'm some kind of unlucky curse. I obviously live in the north. I'm not sure I've seen us win a game for quite a while, to be fair. But yeah, all right. And I enjoyed it yesterday and brought the kids. Kids loved it.
I saw you with your sign at the start. Yeah.
Somewhat backfired a bit, didn't it? Yeah. I think he said something like, I'll have a good birthday come 5 o'clock when we've won. It didn't quite turn out like that.
I'm sure he didn't know.
What time did you put it away?
I think half time it kind of fell to the floor and we didn't really pick it back up again. Yeah.
And Alistair, it was the end of April and we had just been beaten 4-1 away from home at Rochdale since you were last on. How have you been? Oh, you got it this time. It's not me.
You got to unmute yourself. There you go.
That's the one, isn't it? There we go.
Yes.
That's better. I think I'll feel a bit like Rory. I feel like I'm a bit of a jinx every time we go to an away game. We seem to lose at the moment. I don't think I can't remember the last time I saw us win up in the north, and certainly my son who comes with me, he hasn't seen us win since Tranmere in 2021. I think it was away from home. So not the best record.
Yeah, Johnny said in his BBC interview the other day, football's great. There's always the next match, always the next season. There's always the next bit that can help us, we believe. And on that, I was like, when I had Johnny on, I was like, oh yeah, come on, you can plug the book. That'd be really good for you. I said loads of various different people in the BBC. I'm like, oh, okay, you were very kind to play along with there, Johnny. Thank you very much. So I went along to the ladies' side today to get a little bit of a boost ready for the interview today, and they lost 3-1 after taking the lead. It's just a depressing day weekend all round. But we're going to get on to the match. Some changes before kick-off. I think I expected a few more. I think I was hoping for Eastie back. I ended up with 8 out of 11. and I had actually got the two in, so I realised I was on absolutely wild and put loads of changes in. I really would like to quite see Scott and Harry together.
I put them
with
as the front two myself.
Yeah, because I think Aidan and Lee would offer something slightly different to just the big middleman. But we'll start with you, Rory. How are you kind of feeling ahead of kickoff and with the team lineup?
Yeah, all right. I was pleased Ryan was in, and quite pleased that I feel a bit sorry for Jack in goal, but pleased that Dino was back. I thought he might offer us a bit more kind of clout and marshal the area a bit more. So I was pleased about that. I was a bit surprised. I thought Omar would be in at the back instead of Louis, so I was a bit surprised by that. But overall, I thought, yeah, decent side, strong team. Really pleased with Ryan being in. So yeah, I was reasonably confident actually.
Teacher.
Yeah.
Alistair, what were your thoughts? I mean, there have been various different conversations. I can't remember online or offline. I get confused. Jack's great, but perhaps someone has been saying a bit too polite, and we needed someone like Dino just to get screamy at the defences. What were you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was nice to see Dino back in goal. I think, Matt said in his post game. I thought the same before the game. Maybe to change that might help the back four a little bit. He's a lot more vocal than Jack is. You can hear him calling people back, pushing people forward to get them back in position. So, when I've seen the team with Dino in there, I was a bit more confident we'd be a bit more solid at the back. And I was interested to see how the midfield would work within Guesson and Clay. But I still would have liked to have seen Eastie back in that midfield just to shore it up a little bit more.
Yeah, there's definitely hate being the fact that we can have just one player make such a big difference. He's a big miss, isn't he, Paul?
Yeah.
Huge. Yeah, he's a huge miss. He really is. It's so tough, isn't it? And Guesson and Clay have played a few games together now, but there's only so much they could do. Eastie's just got such good leadership qualities that the loss of him, the not having him there is just it's huge, and I think it's going quite a long way towards our problems, which is difficult, isn't it? We seem to be out of position in so many places, and I think Eastie would be the one who would be balling at them all, and controlling those issues. But
But
no.
That said, first half, it was a fairly even game. With possibly we had slightly the upper hand. I mean, there were chances, but take away the penalty, which I'm sure we've got opinions on. But take away the penalty, we're kind of probably even game or slightly upper hand. It's kind of the away performance. You'd be like, okay, I'm quite happy that it gets to half time at 0-0. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, overall, one of their players I think probably should have had a second yellow because he got booked quite early on, and then shortly afterwards he kicked the ball away. Which again, obviously, if it happens to your player, you're going to be miserable about it. But kicking the ball away is a yellow offence. And what reason did he have not to give him the second yellow? You guys, did you see it noted at the time?
Yeah. Sorry, go on, Rory.
Go on, Paul.
I saw it, and a few of the other people around noticed it. I think the referee was quite lenient towards them. We seem to get so many fouls against us, and in comparison, they seem to get away with so much. They seem to, if there was a free kick, every single player seemed to kick the ball away, or do something to slow the game down. It was frustrating. It was frustrating, and the referee seemed to let him get away with it. He didn't seem to have very good control of the game the whole way through, to be honest with you. And he's someone we've got form with, isn't he? So,
is it?
Yeah, I was going to say that he didn't seem to. Sorry, he didn't seem to like Paul said. He didn't seem to have much control over the game. There was a lot going on off the ball as well as on the ball, and he didn't really seem to have any of it under control. There was a lot of. I think the only time I really seen him take control was it was their number 14 took a bit of a dive on the second half on the edge of the box, and he actually booked him for simulation, but apart from that, he just seemed to let a hell of a lot go. But then anything sort of quite cheap for us, he'd give straight away, but not the other way around.
Yeah, I totally agree with Paul and Alistair. I thought it was shocking. I don't usually say that about referees, and I was saying to the kids, yeah, you got to get behind the team and not slag off the referee. And then I pretty much slagged off the referee because I thought he was shocking. I thought it was I just thought he was awful.
I did put at one stage when I was listening, I was like, everything seems to be going against us here. And there was a penalty incident that it was like, why didn't we get the penalty? Okay, could have been a soft one, but then he gave an equally soft one almost right away. I think Dan tweeted, couldn't wait to point to the spot. But I mean, I'm sure you guys have had a look back. It's not the greatest camera angle. Someone did try to slow it down, but it's quite a difficult one to see. But what did you think at the time of the penalty? Just here we go, or?
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of where me and my son were sitting. We were sitting quite on the sort of left end of the stand, so it was right in front of us, really, where it happened. And it was a foul. It was a very soft one to give away. I think Clay will be disappointed because he sort of left his foot out there dangling a little bit, trying to help. I think it was Goody was trying to help out with the ball, and the minute he left the foot out there, the player sort of, it was like a nice thank you. I'm going to just go over that because that's hanging out there. And like you said, the ref really, he'd give it straight away without hesitation. And yes, it's a foul, but, was it a penalty? If it was a very soft one. And it was just disappointing. You could see as soon as that was given that the heads sort of went down a little bit because they'd worked really hard in the first half and played pretty good, really, I thought, up until that point.
Yeah, I think it was a turning point in the game, really. I think we were in it when we had a few chances. I couldn't quite see, but I think it was Rob from the left-hand side almost scored or played it across the face of goal. And we had a couple of really good chances. And then, as you say, penalty just took the wind out of our sails, really. Heads went down. I think that was it. You could just kind of see what was going to happen after that. But really disappointing because I think their bloke was kind of running away from goal as well. There was just no need for Clay to kind of jump in like that. It looked a bit soft from where we were, but it kind of, he played for it.
Cool.
Penalty as well. I felt like it shouldn't have even got to that situation, to be honest with you. Ben was so heavily outpaced, wasn't he? I must say this, and I've watched the highlights back twice, and I wish I hadn't, but I have. And soft penalty. It was just too easy to give. As the others have said, Clay just stuck a leg out that he didn't really need to, and it was too easy for the referee to give. So shame, because we did play well first half. We were in the game, certainly.
Yeah, I think Matt said afterwards the first half was always going to be a really, really important one. We get to half time. Everything becomes a blur at this point. I'm sorry if I kind of rush through, but we're kind of in this zone at the moment where I think we have been huffing and puffing and trying really hard to make half chances for ourselves, which we're not putting away. And in every single deflection or missed pass goes to one of their players. And we've had it the other way where we were winning games and in a great run that everything was falling for us and we were just going, we're going to win. But I think 2-0, I think Ben was kind of in the right back spot and the ball kind of came in and Louis half blocked, half cleared, dropped straight to their player on the edge of the area. He just went, okay, thank you very much. I'll have that for 2-0. At that point, obviously, we're here like going, okay, we're in big trouble now. But what did you think of the third goal, Rory? Do you remember much behind it? I think where they split us open.
That's right. Yeah, ball through the middle. I think when I watched the highlights back this morning. I just think we looked. Even though we played well, I thought first half we looked so nervous in defence. This is my first game of the season. Obviously being based in the north and all that. I just thought we looked so nervous at the back. People weren't really taking control, were they? They were kind of no one was really sure what they were doing, which isn't what you associate with a Matt Gray team at all. Properly disciplined. Everyone knows their jobs. It just looked like they weren't talking to one another. There was no communication. looked really nervy up front as well with those kind of half chances. So second goal was a good finish. Third goal, yeah, just looked like, as Paul said earlier, we were just stretched, ball through the middle, easy finish, really.
Yeah.
I mean, gents, what do you think? Sort of, we're then 3-0 down at this point, Alistair. You kind of like, that's it, we're done. I mean, we weren't 3-0 down for long, but
no, I mean, I think, even at 2-0 down, I thought that was probably it, done and dusted. I couldn't see really any way of us getting back into the game, and then sort of 5 minutes later to go 3-0 down from what seemed to be a pretty simple ball straight through the middle. Their guy ran on. He finished it well. At 3-0, you're thinking, well, that is it. Well and truly, there's no way back from there. And then they seem to want to start playing and having a go after that for some reason, and obviously led to getting one back. But it was, it was just too far back. At 1-0, you've got a chance away from home. At 2-0, it's an uphill battle, and then to give away a cheap goal for the third is just, it's game over, really.
Yeah, but I mean, so we did score. One of the few times we didn't lump it up to Harry, and Amari sort of took it down the wing, played nicely with Coley, and scored what looked like a fairly easy goal. When you just watch that goal in isolation, you're like, okay, that's how football's played. You just do that. So were you thinking there's a chance then, Paul, or were you just like, why are you waiting until 3-0?
Yeah, that was such a frustrating thing, because it was the same last week, wasn't it? We were 3-0 down, and then we suddenly found something. And then after the goal, we had the really good chance. Was it Louis' header? From the
Louis
corner?
had a header.
Louis. Sorry, I always call him Louis. I didn't. It felt like because of the way things are going. At 1-0, I thought we were beaten. I tweeted at half time saying, "Look, this is just we're done. We're beaten. Confidence is so low. We're playing so poorly at the minute. It just felt like we were done." Then going to 3-0, you think, here we go again. What's going to happen today? And yeah, the goal was Amari's goal. It was so simple. It was such an easy thing to do. We just got the ball down and knocked it about a bit, and suddenly it was quite an easy goal, really. So, did I think we were going to suddenly get back into it? No, is the honest answer, unfortunately.
We did have a couple of decent chances. I mean, this is where my timeline got confused. I think Josh Coley had a good run where he cut inside, and then for some reason decided, yes, I love running and cutting inside, but I will not shoot with my left foot. And he just kept sort of taking it on and not actually getting the shot away. And Harry Smith had again, it might have been just the camera angle, but it looked like a very, very good clear header that he went across the goal rather than on target.
I think certainly Harry should have buried the header. It was, he got up ahead of everyone. The goalie didn't even move, and if he'd have put it anywhere on target, it'd have been a goal, I think. But just frustrating not to create those chances when it's 1-0 or 0-0.
Exactly. I mean, that's really, really frustrating, because again, if we had put one of them away, who knows? I mean, would we have hung on at the mood we're in? I doubt it. But they didn't have a breakaway, and I think again from that breakaway, Louis did. I keep trying to remember. See what, if he'd corrected us at the start when he first joined that his name was Lewis, not Louis, we would have all got it by now. But it's like, hang on, this years later, we're stuck calling it. But he got the mid blocking, and again, it then fell to one of their players to make it make it just like horrendous.
We were pushing by then, though, weren't we? The fourth goal almost was irrelevant. We were pushing forward a bit, and we were exposed at the back, but even then, we blocked it, didn't we? It went straight back to their player. We put it back across, and he had an open goal. Not an open goal, but he had a free chance, didn't he? I thought Dino. Let's find a positive. I thought Dino played okay. He didn't do anything wrong at all. Dino, maybe he was commanding well, and nothing deep. I don't think he could have done a lot for any of the goals, really.
No.
So
no, I mean,
I agree.
I mean, I've had sort of various different things looking at it. and as you said, we've looked at the game and watched the highlights. We need to really definitely find a new word for that. But watch the highlights back, and unfortunately, yeah, you can kind of say, well, Ben was out of position in nearly every single one of them. Is there a reason? Is he covering someone else in his position, or is he just going on a wander, a walkabout? Any sort of thoughts on that, or is that just being way too harsh?
I mean, I didn't think certainly once the first goal went in, but I didn't. Even before that, I didn't think the back four looked particularly comfortable all day. There was a few scrambles in the box where balls were getting cleared into other players instead of just where before there'd have been a lot more calm on the ball to get it rid of it or pass it out. There was a lot of scrambles in the box before the first goal. I don't know. They just didn't seem to be working as one like you've seen in the past, where they're all sort of one unit. They all seem to be on different pages and doing different things. And I remember watching in the first half with Jackson and thinking he seemed to be afraid to go on and be on the halfway line. He'd get a chance to overlap and he wouldn't really go on. And I don't know if that was just a fear of, if I go forward, then we're going to be exposed down that side, or whether he was told not to go forward. He'd sort of have a chance to go past Coley and not take it, and the ball would end up getting cut back into midfield all the time.
Yeah, I
Rory?
totally agree. I wonder if it's that kind of lack of protection in front of the back four as well, because I'm not sure Guessing did too much, really, from what I could see. And Clay tried. You could tell Clay was trying, but it's just, it comes back to Paul's point, I think, around how much we miss Feasty. There, just that protecting the back four, we just looked really shaky at the back. Jackson, I thought, had a decent enough game. I don't know. I much love Rob Milsom. I don't know if he's just played too much football or he's getting a bit old. I thought he got caught a few times. I think it's that lack of protection in front of them, and then they just weren't, as Alistair said, weren't working as a unit at all. Not many positives, really, I don't think, defensive wise. Jackson was all right. I think certainly first half, I thought Jackson played quite well.
Yeah, and Paul, sort of wrap it up on the match.
Yeah, I wonder if Louis not very fit. He was out for a long time, and he's. I'm not sure if he's quite up to pace yet. Yeah. Ben, as we said earlier, he doesn't have any pace. He's not a quick player, but he's the one who's going and making the challenges, and then they're turning him, and he can't keep up with them. Ben almost needs to be. I remember back when I was playing, the slow player and the thinker. He was the one who would sit off a yard or two, and he'd be the one who would make the late challenges. And that's a lot of Ben's game, making those last-ditch challenges. How many times he jumped in a few times in the game. Yeah. And it felt like Ben was the one who was going in. So I don't know if Louis not fit and he's covering him by trying to do his job as well as his own job. And it's just leaving us so exposed because Louis doesn't do the job Ben usually does as well. It feels like across that 8, the back 4 and the midfield 4, they should be working more as units. They should be the 4 groups, if you like, the wide players, the 2 centre backs, 2 centre midfielders working as units. Coley's coming in narrow a lot, I'm assuming, for Jackson to push on. And that feels like that's exposing us, and that's been happening a while. And that was exposing Joe Kizzy, that's been mentioned in the past as well. And the 2 centre mids don't seem to quite be working quite right. And Ben coming forward, as we said, Louis sitting. I think Robin Omari's working better, but the thing I got most frustrated about during the game, I lost my rag with it a little bit. We were fanning about with the ball. We were passing it to each other. There were so many opportunities to get the ball in the box. They were literally right in front of us. So many opportunities to get the ball in the box, and it didn't go in. It's like, no, I'll pass it back to you. You pass it back to me. Eventually, when they try to put it in, it hit someone. It's like, what's going on? I wasn't impressed. We had 3 or 4 players. We had players in the box, and it's like, come on, let's get the ball in the box at every opportunity. Let's try and make this work. We've got big players now, and we're our thinking, as far as I took it, was okay. We've gone for big players. We're going to get balls in the box, and we're going to try and win headers, set pieces. But it's not happening. It's not happening. The goals aren't coming that way.
Well, that kind of goes back to the point I was making earlier, that when things aren't going well for you, then people don't want to take the shot. But they kind of want to make it a clearer cut chance. Whereas when we're in that lovely golden run and people just getting the ball and you're Ali Smith going, all right, you know what, I'll take a little bobble shot, and it bounces and hits people's knees and ankles and ends up in the bottom of the net. If it doesn't go for you, people tend to be a little bit more, cautious. But okay, we're going to do one more thing on the game. I know you've all been looking forward to this particular part of it, the moment of the match. So, Paul, you said at first we're not going to speak at all about the game, but what have you got for your moment of the match?
What have I got for my moment of the match? My moment of the match, I'd say, was the final whistle.
That sums it up, really.
Yeah, I think that's got to be it. Yeah, the final whistle, and thank God that was over.
And Rory, you said you were going to be probably choosing the hospitality.
Yeah, I thought.
Have you changed your mind, or are you still going with that?
No, I'm still going. Cheese and onion pie, half time, was very good. That was my moment of the match.
Alistair, yours, I believe, was the hour and a half journey home rather than 5 hours.
Yeah. I think we'd probably stick with that. I suppose the only bright moment of the match was Amari's goal, from a Sutton point of view. But the hour and a half journey home instead of 5 hours certainly helped with that as well.
Okay, I'm going to put Amari's goal for you because you said that first, and it means you've got something from the actual game. Obviously, I wasn't there. It's way more than an hour and a half. But the bit I liked, which possibly would have been done anyway, even if we had won the game 4-1, I'll be honest, was Francis' birthday message, and got to see the mascot as well, which I think that's great. All the people who organise the mascots get involved in coming around to see her. I think that's marvellous. And obviously, I know other people organise it as well. So we're going to put all those 4 out, and we'll see which wins. I have to admit, our form and this segment hasn't gone very well together, because I kind of envisioned something brilliant and everyone going, yeah, I love this. And it's like we're scratching around to find something, but I'm sure it'll spin around again. So the next bit, the player ratings. Not many people did it, so they have enough to get enough data. But Pundit are doing this thing after the match. You put your player ratings in and little comments as well. And it's sort of a board game, a quiz thing. And I thought, I'll ask the quiz questions. So the answer to this question, which I didn't keep the card for, so I don't know if you heard it, but the answer was Ray Clements, if anyone didn't actually get it, but it was something about Liverpool and Spurs goalkeeper and England keeper as well. So, but lots and lots and lots of questions and comments about the form. We have covered the defence. There was an awful lot of what's going on by defence. I mean, you said they don't seem to be working as a unit, but this is the same defence that did so well for us. Is it just people have worked us out a little bit, or is it a confidence crisis? I mean, did anyone have any more to say on the defence? I know Paul said a bit, but Alistair, Rory, did you have anything to add?
No, I think Rory said it earlier. I think I wrote down about Rob. Maybe age is just catching up on him a little bit now. At sort of, is he 36? I think now. Yeah. There was times where he was getting caught out, which going back a couple of seasons was uncharacteristic. And I think Paul probably said it as well with Lewis and Ben. Maybe one of them's not quite there fitness wise or confidence wise. I don't know, because they just don't seem to be communicating and talking as much as you'd expect. And I think maybe Dino was trying to help with that, because he was you could hear him trying to get them in position where he wanted them for different set pieces and stuff. Just maybe, I don't know, it's just not working at the moment. And I'm hoping it will click eventually, because like you say, it's the same unit really, with the exception of Jackson, that have worked so well for the last few years, but it just doesn't seem to be going that way at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, we've got Sam, who seems to be one of the most unlucky players in the world, because he should be getting in to have his chance for Rob, and then he'll get injured and be out for quite a while. Because he should definitely be coming in, giving Rob a bit of a rest in some of these games. But yeah, who knows what it is? I mean, it is just very odd considering Matt and Jason are defenders. You'd think that would be our extremely strong point. Lots and lots and lots of sack Matt comments grey out. I'm going to keep quiet with it. But if we start with you, Rory, I mean, what are your thoughts there on potentially changing the manager?
I just think it's way too early to be talking about anything like that. I think he's earned the right to have a really good go this season, considering what he's done over the past few years. I think even to be talking about it, I personally, I don't think that's right. I know, we've gone 7 games and we've lost 7 in a row, which is really unlike us. I can't remember the last time we lost that many games in a row. And it's just a confidence thing now. I think they will click, just as Alistair said. I think we will click at some point. And I think Matt's totally the right man to do that. So I wouldn't countenance. And I think he's earned the right to have a proper go this season. So yeah, I'd definitely keep Matt in. And what would I think if some people put on the chat as well, what would we gain really by changing the manager now? Who's there really out there that could take over? Who would understand the kind of Sutton ethos and the Sutton way? I think Matt gets that. Matt knows that.
Yeah.
Got such a good kind of close-knit backroom staff as well. I just think needs to stick with it. Needs to keep the faith.
This is kind of one of the points I wrote down. There's a lot of sack Matt, but there's not a lot of substance to go behind it. Because when, as I'm sure you've seen it, when anyone's challenging it, and God bless Andrew, he seems to be just literally challenging everyone. But it's okay. Well, who? What happens next? Who are you bringing in? Oh, I don't know. Well, then what's the point in taking this kind of action? If someone's going to come in and say, well, those players aren't performing, we need to get rid of all those players, get my players in. I mean, what do you sort of stand and think on the whole idea of getting rid of him?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't be looking at getting. I certainly wouldn't be looking at changing the manager at this stage. It's very early in the season, long way to go yet. I think, like we've all said, Matt's earned that right to stay there, for what he's done for the club. And I think, it's all well and good saying sack the manager, bring this, replace the manager, do whatever. But Sutton's a very unique club, I think, in the way it's ran, the budget constraints, the way things are ran behind the scenes. That there's not going to be many takers that would understand that role. And I think Matt, because he's been embedded in the club for quite a few years now, understands it fully. And I think, I do believe it will click. I mean, I think it was a bit sad watching his interview with the club yesterday. He did seem very downtrodden. I've never seen him seem so down. And I sort of think I put on Twitter, I hope this isn't the writing on the wall for him, that he's almost giving up as well. But, I do think to get rid of him would be a very, very bad decision at this stage of the season.
Yeah, you mentioned the interview, and that's the one I was going to come with you, Paul, is he was very down in the interview. And I think it was on Gandemonium who retweeted it. Someone had said, at most other clubs, the managers would not be that honest and open about where they see where the problems are, and knowing where the problems are is a bit of a head start, because it helps you then know, okay, well, we need to how to fix it. So kind of what are your thoughts on the whole idea? Because again, you were there watching that relegation season where they may as well have just handed out some shirts to the crowd and, hey, go on, you give it a go, because they realised that you didn't care.
Yeah. If we know what the problems are, we should be going some way to solving them by now. I'm not sure if we do know where the problems are. We just haven't been good enough across the board, have we? I don't think we're doing enough. We're not competing enough. We're just not doing enough all the way across the board. I don't think sacking Matt would solve anything. In fact, I think that would go the opposite way. I think sacking Matt would be nailing the coffin that relegates us because of the change, because of the upheaval. I think that would be a bad decision at this point. If we get another 10 games in and we're tailed off, you look at it and you think, well, is now a good time to change it? What's he gonna do? Do we change it? Do we just think, okay, almost get to a point, maybe not in 10 games because we'll played 18 games or something then, but you can't really be resigned to relegation at that point. Saying that, Oldham, Scunthorpe, Rochdale, I'd say those three were probably relegated by Christmas pretty much in the last couple of seasons because they were so poor. So I don't know. But yeah, it's everyone seems to be sort of nicey, and Matt doesn't want to slate anyone, I think I was thinking back to the Luke Williams interview after the Notts County game, and he tore strips off of his entire squad. They've won every game since, have they? Or they're unbeaten ever since. Another completely different scenario, completely different situation, completely different resources. But, sometimes you need to be told off, Being nice to them, it's like, oh, we need to do this better, we need to do that better. Rip into them, give it some, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. But we need to do so much better.
Yeah, get Sean getting them down, do some laps and press ups. One of the comments I saw again was sacking the players can't be asked, and I'm like, if the players can't be asked, how's sacking the manager going to help? What's going to make them be asked for the next manager? If they're not asked for a manager that's brought them into the club, that's believed in them and sold them this story, they're not going to do it for just some random we get in. And then my other favourite, I think it was on Facebook somewhere, the board aren't going to sack Matt because he's doing exactly what they want, and they want relegation. And so I'm sure that will come to news to Bruce and Tim and the rest that we want relegation because they're pulling their hair out as well. The
thing is, with the stand that's got to go up, we've got the stand to go up, haven't we? And we're talking about that on Saturday. But it's got to be done by April, I think, is what I've read. So, if we were thinking, oh, we don't want to spend the money to have to build this new stand, to do this, to do that, it's got to be done by April. So we've got to do it anyway.
Yeah, I think it has to have substantial plans and whatnot in place. It can't be like, we're going to do it in the summer, but it can be done in the summer if it can be shown. Okay. This is when we're getting delivery. This is what the orders are. We've paid for everything to be here. So I don't think it has to be up and working by April, but we have to show progress towards it. I did have one thought, and I'm not 100% sure whether this is right or not, but I've thought for a little while some of Matt's language in the interviews isn't what I remember being for the last couple of years. So we've been told this team are one of the fittest teams in the league. We're relentless, we steamroller. And then he was very obsessed with the added time and the problems the added time caused. And then we played 4 games in 14 days. And now we've been constantly told, well, it's going to be 9 games in 4 weeks or whatever the amount is. And I'm like, hang on, if we're one of the fittest teams, surely we should be telling the players, this is your time. Other teams are going to be tired because of all this. You will be there ready to go. And I'm just wondering if that's, because we saw it with the plastic pitch. Teams arrived to the plastic pitch and they were already heard all the excuses and they already thought, well, we've got an excuse for losing. Are we potentially giving our players excuse for losing because they're hearing that they're going to be tired a lot? I don't know if it is. Does that sound insane? Because I'm hoping it does.
We've got a squad built now, though. That's supposedly our best squad. It looks it on paper. We're supposed to have players here that can come in and slot into positions that other players that are tired or Matt wants to change about to give them a break. It's a straightforward, changeable situation. So, it doesn't cover as an excuse, in my opinion, that's a problem. I don't know.
I agree. I do wonder, though, the kind of physicality that we've had over the past couple of years certainly didn't really seem there yesterday. we've always been that kind of big physical team that would kind of get in people's faces, but it didn't really feel like that yesterday. We kind of back off a lot. Didn't seem like that. So maybe that's part of it. I do think Paul's got a point around the kind of the loyalty side of this as well. I think Matt's being too loyal to some of those players that just aren't really performing for him.
Yeah, I mean, I said last week, where has horrible Sutton gone? We used to be, everyone hated us, hated playing against us. Where has that gone? But
Accrington did what to us what we were doing 2 years ago. Accrington are that big ugly side, that was who we were. That's who we need to go back to being.
Totally, because we had more possession yesterday. They didn't have as much possession. They hoofed it half the time. I wasn't very particularly impressed with the football that Accrington played, but they did bully us a bit.
That was what we did, though. We're not used to possession, are we?
No, exactly, we're not.
You used to always hate it when I saw the stats at half time with Sutton as a more possession. I'm like, no, don't have the ball.
Exactly, we don't want that. We want 30% rather than 55, whatever it was yesterday.
But yeah, I mean, the other thing that Paul said, and I kind of did think what we should all do is, I mean, obviously you've got the league. Should we not be breaking into the ground the night before and just literally covering the pitch on paper? Because we do have our strongest squad on paper, but unfortunately they play on grass. So, but we're going to we'll move on a little bit. I mean, yeah, you guys, your thoughts are the same as mine. Obviously, I think it would be a bad decision because all the things you mentioned, I think the players are there for Matt. He will turn it around. It's not like people are just not caring. You can see in the interview that he cared. There was a little conversation with some of the players came over at the end, and some people were booing and being a bit sweary. But the players are just as frustrated. I don't know. It's like we'll do something about it, but they're just as frustrated as well. I'm sure it'll click, and once the luck starts going our way, it will go on another run again. I'm really desperately hoping.
Yeah.
But
I'm not a bit frustrated at people. Sorry, a little thing. I was annoyed myself about it afterwards, but I got a bit frustrated at people clapping them off afterwards. That's almost acknowledging the performance. And I was like, really, what's that all about? And I was a bit annoyed with myself. We're all allowed our opinions at the end of the day, and we're going to all have different opinions. Everyone's going to disagree on things. And when you're losing, everyone's opinions differ wildly more, So, I was a bit frustrated myself about
that. Well, big man, apologise. I know some people just clap as like a thank you anyway, and appreciation of the efforts. But I also understand there's a lot of people like, well, there was no effort. So I get both sides of that. Right, so we have got a little break. We've got the, I'm sure Paul is delighted that it's no longer called the Pizza Cup because he doesn't have to listen to the marvellous tune that I put together. And I maintain that Papa John's did not pull out a sponsorship for the Pizza Cup because of that. But we've got Villa under 21. Unfortunately, the Villa fan who was going to jump on and talk us through the under 21s because he runs a Twitter account for the under 21s, he said, called into work, so he wasn't able to do it. So I don't know anything about the under 21s. I have this feeling that people have said in the past they've got some very good players because they tend to go out on loan and they're quite sought after, but everyone's shaking their head. So this is going to be great. Anyone know anything about Villa under 21s? No,
not a thing.
Well, I know that they had Finazaz was a Villa player, or is a Villa player, who's been out on loan at Newport and Plymouth, and he's done very well. You look at Cameron Archer, who's gone on to Middlesbrough, I think, hasn't he? Yeah. And he's come through that system.
I generally don't know. All right, yeah, okay. It sounds like a good player.
Villa have got a couple of younger lads in this first team as well. Aaron Ramsey, the young Aaron Ramsey, not the older one, I think has come through their system as well. So they must have a good setup down there. But it's knowing how many they've sent away on loan to other league clubs and such like.
But that's where I've got this kind of vague thing of I've got this feeling that they're academy that they push players through. But I don't know why or where I got that idea from. But are you looking for? Do you care about the EFL Trophy? I mean, we've got 3 group games to play anyway, so it doesn't matter what we do. We have to play 3 group games. Rory, are you interested in this? Are you looking for a strong lineup, or just a game to get it through?
I think it'd be a confidence boost if we could get a result. So that, I think it's an opportunity to do that, isn't it? So take the pressure off the 7 games losing in the league and try and get a result that might help for next Saturday. And I think it's be a good excuse to play the likes of Pereira, who came on Saturday. He looked quite lively down the right-hand side, actually. So, yeah, if you could give him a game, Casamu, if he's not injured, and people like that, just to kind of mix things up, provide a bit more competition for some of those players that haven't really been doing it for the past few games. So I think it might be quite a nice welcome distraction if Villa under-21s aren't too good, which is always the risk, isn't it? So.
Yeah, absolutely. Alistair, what are your thoughts on them?
Yeah, I think for me, I'd be trying to go out and win the game and try and get some confidence back into the team, but also give some players who maybe need a bit more of a run out. I think it's a difficult one, isn't it? It's always that catch-22 that you put out a strong team, and then if you end up losing that one as well, then it backfires on you. But I think they've got to go out and look to win it, because at the minute they're not doing much in the league, and they've got to try and get on a bit of a roll and a bit of confidence. I think we all hoped after the Wickham result in the League Cup that might have spurred them on to this. Maybe this will help kick on if they can get a bit of a result and get a bit of confidence back into the team, score a few goals, and that might kick into Saturday, I'm hoping.
Yeah, I mean, it did our first season. We had a sort of bit of a tough time, and then we played, was it Palace under 21s?
Yeah.
And kind of that what pushed us through. So, Paul, what are your hopes and expectations on Tuesday night?
Yeah, no, I'm similar to the other guys' thoughts, and I want to go back to what Alistair was saying as well. We've played well against Wickham, and I mean, I guess we started. Sorry, my battery's dying. Just checking. Sorry about that. We started well at the start of the season, obviously not counting in Cambridge, and then the form sort of dropped off. And then the Wickham game, what a performance! Amazing performance. And we then went back and we fell back into the old ways in the league. So, yeah, hopefully, as the others have said, distraction from league football. The result of this game doesn't matter, but let's try and get the ball down, play some football, try something different as well, and hope that that's something that comes good, helps us boost our confidence and see where it takes us. But if we get a good performance, then take it on to Saturday rather than have a good performance and then fall off the cliff again.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to ask you your message for the players and your prediction for the match. So Rory, go first. You've got your 20-30 seconds to get the players pumped up, and what's your prediction?
I'd probably just say you've got nothing to lose. Go out there, just try and enjoy it, and don't worry about the league. This is just it's a free hit, I suppose, isn't it? So that's what I'd say. Go out there, got nothing to lose, and go for it. And I reckon we might win. Yeah, I'll go for like a 3-2 or something. I reckon we'll squeeze through, and then, like Paul says, hopefully take that to MK Dons on Saturday. Okay,
you still need to do your prediction on the form thing when I put it out, because otherwise I'll forget.
Oh yeah.
Alistair, what do you think? And what's your message and your prediction?
Yeah, I think my message would be, like Rory said, it's a free hit. This one, it's a free shot. Go out there, enjoy yourselves, get the ball down, start playing some football. You're all good. They're all good enough players. We've got a really good squad, and go out there and prove it, and start scoring some goals, and start playing a bit more of a cohesive unit. I think my prediction would probably be, I think we're going to win 2-0.
2-0, lovely. And Paul, what's your message for the players and prediction?
My message, okay. Shape. Let's work on the shape. Let's keep our lines of 4. Let's play ugly. Let's kick them about, and let's get what we've got to do, whatever we've got to do to get a result. Result, yeah, it's going to be. I mean, I'm going to be optimistic. 1-0.
1-0, okay.
Yeah,
very optimistic.
You don't want to put 3-1 like you put on the prediction form. Like last night.
Yeah, I was thinking. Do you know what? I'll be honest with you. I forgot about the Villa game. That was for the MK game. 3-1 defeat.
Excuse me.
No, I got that wrong. That was for the MK game.
But yeah, so the league is up and running. I've automated an awful lot of it now, so I'm quite happy with it because stuff comes through on my magic spreadsheet and it all just gets updated. And I'm like, oh, don't need to do anything. So if anyone is listening and wants to join in, the code is on the screen. Brilliantly, I hyped this up last week and I forgot that obviously most people are going to be watching it on their phones, so they won't be able to actually use the code that they're now seeing on their phones. But if you take a screenshot, you can do it. There will be obviously the link in the notes, and I do chuck it out anyway. But I've spent time making the code brown and yellow so you can see it. Right, so we're going to wrap up. It says hopefully that they start becoming easier. Because obviously, I didn't like doing these. I try and be positive at all times, so I'm desperately hoping for things to get easier. So. We really appreciate everyone's attention, and it will stick and it will be fun one day. And their feedback. Please follow us, like us, share everything on social media, comment, let me know your thoughts, didn't like. We are sponsored by Lucky Star Gin, and thank you to them, and thank you to our panel. We've got Rory, we've got Paul, and we've got Alistair. Next week, Wednesday even, we have got an episode with Mark and Gabriel. Mark and Neil. So get those questions in, and then obviously we've got MK Dons next week as well. So thank you, gents, for your time. Thank you for trying to be positive and not just coming and ranting or sitting in a sulk like you thought you were going to do, Paul. But thank you all, everyone. United! United! United!